When I first decided I wanted to start freelancing, it took me a while to get from decision to actually doing. The transition time in between was kind of stressful for me. Like, how do I make this a reality? Yes, I have this idea in my head, and then I have the outcome I want on the other side, which is successfully freelancing. What gets me from A to B? One of the first steps that actually allowed me to start going down that path was to create a very concrete plan, to take this from idea up here in the sky to something concrete and actionable for me to actually start doing. And in order to make that plan, I had to ask myself some really important questions to help me with an overall strategy of what kind of business I want to build, what type of freelance work do I actually want to do. I actually created a worksheet with those same questions that I asked myself. It's downloadable. I'll put the link in the description. You can fill it in so you can actually write down your answers, which I highly recommend. But asking yourself these questions at the front end gives you the foundation to be able to actually create the plan. So just to quickly go through what those questions are, the first one is, why did I seriously start thinking about freelancing? What made me go from, oh, this could be interesting, to, no, I'm serious about this? What is that why? For me, that why is about controlling my own time, having autonomy and flexibility, not going back to an office, quite frankly. It doesn't really matter what that why is. There's no right or wrong, but it's about you knowing what it is so that you can stick with this and make decisions when things get tough. Next question is, what area of communications will I specialize in? There are so many parts of communications, from traditional PR to marketing, branding, advertising, all different types of areas within the discipline. And for me, I realized that I really wanted to stick with traditional PR. I had made mistakes in the past trying to dip my toe into marketing and advertising and paid ads and social and things that just were not in my wheelhouse. And I realized, no, I want to stay focused, traditional PR, pitching media, putting stories together. That's my sweet spot. Similarly, question 3, related but not the exact same, is what industry or sector do I want to focus on? So now that you kind of know the discipline that you want to do, now you want to focus on, okay, for who, for what types of businesses and organizations. So for me, I really have decided to maintain my focus on the nonprofit sector, advocacy, social justice organizations. That's really what I love to do, what I've been doing for the last several years. That's not all I've done. I mean, I've worked for all kinds of different companies. I used to work in the travel and lifestyle space, and I worked for hospitality brands, and I worked for a cruise line, and that kind of stuff was a lot of fun. I thought, do I want to go back to that? But I had to be honest with myself. What do I really think I would stick to? And I wanted to really continue to focus on the work that I'm doing now. Question number 4 is, what kind of clients do you prefer to work with? And specifically, not the industry of the clients, but sort of the type of the business. So it could be a large corporation or a small business or a startup or a nonprofit organization or an individual. Again, no right or wrong answer here, but it's about, what do you want to do? What do you have experience with doing? What kind of client do you think would be a good fit for what you're bringing to the table? Question number 5, what are my monthly revenue goals? Now, that question and the types of clients you're going to work with are going to be very closely connected. If you have big revenue goals, you might want to go for the large corporations. But if it's a little bit more moderate, you might be able to work more with small businesses and nonprofits. For me, my revenue goals are not astronomically high. I'm aiming for that elusive 10K a month, which is, I think, a very sort of baseline number that a lot of folks want to reach. And I have found that I've been able to get to that working with nonprofit organizations and some small businesses. So it's possible. Any type of client can help you get to any type of revenue goal, but you just have to make sure you think through it and make sure that you're ready for what will be required. Question number 6, again, as you hear these questions, you'll really understand how all of the answers are interconnected, and you have to make sure that you have consistency across the answers. So question number 6 is, what size of business do I want to have? Do you want to be a solopreneur like me, where you work by yourself, no team? Do you want to have a small team, maybe even just 2 or 3 people? Or are you trying to have like a boutique agency where you might have 20 people working with you? Whatever the case may be, know that up front, because that's going to have a huge implication on how much work you can take on, how much revenue you can build. I know that as a solo entrepreneur, I have a limit on how much I can do, of course, on my own. So that does put a limit on my earning potential. That does put a limit on the amount of clients I can take. But I'm okay with that. I'm very well aware of that. And in fact, I'm quite happy about that. It makes me happy to be able to say, sorry, I'm too busy to take on this extra work. But I understand that obviously that's not going to be for everybody. And some people are going to say, wait a second, let me see if I can bring in a few people so that I can expand and bring in a little bit more money. So whatever the case may be, again, no wrong answer. It's just about knowing that up front, because that's going to help you make decisions. And the last question, very important question, is what does my ideal day, week, month, and year look like? And not just specific to work, but life. What does your day look like? What time do you want to wake up? What kind of activities do you want to be able to do during the day? What time do you want to go to sleep? Not just thinking about work, but thinking about the quality of life that you want to have. How often do you want to take vacations and travel? How much do you plan to be sitting at your desk and working? All of that stuff is things that you need to think about, because that's going to help determine how you manage your time. And that's going to be the biggest determination for how the rest of the business grows. So if you say my revenue goals are $100,000 a month, but my time goals are to spend no more than 5 hours a day doing work, I might challenge you that would not necessarily be consistent. So that's why these questions are important to think about in totality, because it'll make sure that you're thinking about everything as a full picture. The impact on your time if you have really high revenue goals, the impact on what your day is going to look like if you work with startup clients where startups don't go to sleep. You know what I mean? So these are all the things that you need to consider as a whole picture so that you can make the right decisions about the type of business that you want to build as a freelancer. And once you have these answers, then you can really start the work of going out and finding clients. For me, once I went through this exercise, I realized that I think I can be really valuable and reach these goals by not necessarily working with clients and organizations directly, but by freelancing with PR agencies, which is an amazing niche that I've been able to carve out, where I actually come on board to be an extended member of the agency's team, and I work with whatever clients they have coming in at the time. And that allows me to be able to sort of maintain these boundaries that I've set, but still be able to do this interesting work with these organizations. I also do have some direct clients where I'm not working through an agency, it's just directly with me, but the clients are more established. I don't tend to work with like startups or like brand new folks who have never worked with PR or who aren't experienced with PR, because quite frankly, that would be a hit on my time that I'm not prepared to give, you know? And that's the kind of honest conversations that you have to have with yourself so that you can then go out and pursue clients that fit with what you've decided works for you. So that's a lot. I went through that really quickly, and there's a lot in there, and there's so much more to dig into and so much more to unearth when it comes to that, which is why I am going to be launching a course that's going to go way, way, way deeper into detail about that. So please sign up for my newsletter at the link in my bio, and that is going to give you first access to that course when it goes live later this year. And so when you have these answers and when you've done this self-reflection, it gives you what you need to start making the plan, and that is how you transition without stress, because you are eyes wide open, very aware of what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and able to really make decisions and make plans that align with the type of business that you know is going to work well for you.